Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. A great guest today, Xochitl Hernandez, is with me. She's a school teacher who has dealt with multiple sclerosis, which over 1 million people in the United States alone deal with. But this interview is fascinating. We talk about people that are dealing with invisible illness, how it affects them, and how sometimes the secret can be worse than the actual disease. So this is really inspiring. It's going to be a great program. Xochitl Hernandez on The Good Life, next. Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you're with us. You can always find us at goodlifetelevision.org 24/7. All the interviews are there. There's power clips. There's some good minutes that we've recorded that we put up there just kind of on different subjects. Hopefully encourages you, inspires you. That's what we're here for. We're here to encourage, inspire, honor, empower. And one of the things about Good Life TV is we keep it real. And we talk to real people and we don't gloss over tough stuff. It's part of what I think Good Life is you can actually be real. You can actually address things where they are and deal with suffering, difficulty. We've had people that have struggled with all kinds of things, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us to talk about them. So we have one of those friends here with us today. Xochitl Hernandez is with me. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Let me just give kind of a quick introduction, but your story is wonderful, and you've been a teacher, so we'll start with that. You've worked in demographically impoverished areas where you have, for the most part, English language learners.
That's correct.
So that's been your vocation. And 2 years ago, you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Right.
So let's just start with that. What is multiple sclerosis? If you need to cheat on your sheet, that's fine too, but kind of give an introduction to people who are watching who don't know anything about this.
Okay, well, I want to get this right, so I'm going to just talk about it in very basic terms. So MS causes the body's immune system to malfunction and essentially attack itself or attack healthy tissues in the brain and in the central nervous system. And when that happens, that these attacks, attack the central nervous system, and it creates problems. And when it's attacking the cells, it's attacking also something called the myelin sheath, which is the cover of some of the cells, and so that can create nerve damage. And those nerve damage is what brings on different problems later on with your nerves and with the body. Essentially, a whole host of different types of problems and symptoms.
So the immune system attacks it. It's basically the body attacking
the healthy
itself.
tissues in the brain and the central nervous system.
How did you find out you had this?
Well, looking back, there have been other things that have occurred in the past that I didn't really know were possibly links to MS. Like, I would have all of a sudden kind of strange tingling in my head or my feet. I had something called uveitis. And then what happened in about 2017, for some reason, my foot was just dragging, my right foot, and I had a classroom upstairs and it was dragging, so I had to climb the stairs but kind of swing up my foot by using my hip flexor kind of, and it was an odd walk, but I made my way every day up the stairs not knowing what it was. And then I went to the doctor, and they just started me with testing, and then I had different things, and my stomach was twitching and moving by itself. And then when I went to the doctor, they're like, okay, we're going to give you an MRI, especially with the fact that they know that my brother also has multiple sclerosis. So that's when all of the testing started for the MRI, the brain scan, and they do scans in your spine. And there you go through a whole series and process of elimination, and then finally they also take fluid from your spine to see if there's any other things that it could be.
Wow. So you get a diagnosis. And I want to talk about kind of the period of time between when you had that diagnosis and kind of when you had your, as you call it, your aha moment. Talk about that and kind of the painful journey that you were on before you were able to really kind of announce this.
Okay, so, I think that it just started in a very rough place. In the first place, I was teaching and I was getting these different tests, and nobody knew why all of a sudden I would have to leave in a half day, because they would say, you need to come in and we're going to do a spinal tap and check the fluid. And so all of these things was leading me to think, this is probably going to be MS, and I don't even know how I'm going to deal with it. But I had in my mind that it probably was. So they told me one day, we're going to call you on such and such a day. And I left work in the middle of the day. I met my husband there, and we sat in the car, and the doctor called us, and at 12 o'clock right there at the park, they said, you do in fact have multiple sclerosis, and we're going to start you on medicine. And it was going to start with injections every other day. And I was so scared, and I was furious, and I was thinking, okay, so I'm going to do shots, no big deal, maybe a few months. And when I asked for how long, they said indefinitely, for as long as you have multiple sclerosis, unless you choose a different type of medicine. But right now, that's the safest one that we're going to start you with. So my husband and I were at the park, and we sat together, took in this information. I felt everything: fear, anger, frustration, just all of the fear of the unknown. Where was I going to be in 5 years? Was I going to continue to work? Just so many unknowns. And then I knew, okay, well, I'm not going to quit my job. They say I can continue working. So how is that going to look? So here I am living with this secret. And this secret was, I don't want anybody to know at work. I don't want anyone to see me differently. She's not going to be capable. If you work with her at her grade level, you're going to have to do all of these things for you. I didn't know how it was going to affect my brain, because after all, I had lesions on my brain. And, it was just this horrible secret that I really didn't want anybody to know. But I did tell my husband, you can tell your family. And I started to glance through people with invisible illness, multiple sclerosis, and I don't know how, but this video came it was supposed to happen. I was supposed to see this. Into my feed, I see this video of Lady Gaga, and she's like, just film me, just show this reality that I'm living. So she was laying down in her bed, in a bed or a couch or something, but I just remember she was writhing in pain, squirming, she was crying, makeup everywhere, in pain. And she said, I just feel like this pull, this is Lady Gaga speaking, I feel a pull going through my body, and I'm in so much pain. I can't rehearse, I can't sing, I can't even get up. And there was, I don't know if it was a chiropractor or a massage therapist that was working on relaxing her. And again, she was in anguish. And she said, I just need people to know that I'm not trying to be a diva. I'm not overreacting. When I say I need to cancel concerts, or when I say I can't rehearse, even though you see me look normal, I just really can't. I'm really in pain, and this is what I'm living with. And I thought, okay, so people really saw what was happening, how she was having that moment of just incapable of even standing up.
Which was fibromyalgia.
She has fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So I just, this light went off, and I said, this story was for me to see, because now I can just deal with MS, and I'm going to just say this and be free of this secret and not live in this kind of dark place where nobody can know, and people are going to, see me as, incapable, or whatever it is that they're going to have in their mind. I'm just going to deal with the secret and just say whatever, however it comes up, you know, tell people in my grade level, tell people that I trust, and be done with this and put it in its, be free of this secret, so I can just go on the business of starting my life in this new journey with MS. And I'm going to learn, and I'm going to have pain, and I'm going to have better days. But people see me as looking normal, but there's some days where I simply can't deal with, you know, just being online for 7 hours, or there's just some days I can't deal with, you know, picketing when the teachers are marching. I cannot stand with everybody for 6 hours and be in the heat. And the only way people are going to know of how to help others like me is if I open my mouth, and now that I'm free of the secret, and just start speaking and advocating for people that are dealing with MS or lupus, fibromyalgia, any type of invisible illness. And when I can do that, I can help others and help myself, so I can go about the business of living life, participating in life actively, and just, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I knew that the journey was going to be different. And here was my old life, and I was going to start a new life. Yeah. But I could not do that with a secret. So, you know, fast forward, you know, when I did tell people, people were really at work, just really amazing and supportive. And yeah, so that's how that went.
And you said before we started taping, you said it was almost like the secret was just as bad as the disease.
Yes. I just felt when, you know, I just felt like it was this veil that I was kind of walking around and feeling guilty, like that I was harboring this secret.
Right.
And why would I feel guilty when it's not even my fault?
Right.
But it's just something that I had to, you know, lift the veil. And it was, I think that the first time I started telling a couple of people that I trusted on my grade level at the time, I was like, like I felt like I breathed better. And each time I said it to another person that I trusted, I was like, you see, that wasn't so bad, you know?
Right.
And, you know, people can't support you or can't help you.
Yes.
Or know what to do if you don't let them in, if you don't trust. But, you know, that has to come in your own time, you know, and everybody has different timing, you know.
Yeah.
So my timing was after I saw that video of Lady Gaga, and I was like, okay, so if her video did that for me,
yeah,
then maybe I can do that for other people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's horrible not being able to speak on it, and not knowing, you know, not knowing what the future holds.
Yeah. Well, we don't like to be weak. I think as human beings, there's something in our nature that, and yet I always come back to this scripture about when I'm weak, I'm strong. And there's something about being weak, saying, here's the deal, naming it, that gives some power, ironically.
Yes, exactly.
You think it'd be the opposite.
Yes, once I, you know, could name it and say it, and I, you know, then I started, you know, like moving forward, that this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to actively participate. I mean, obviously the way I'm perceiving it right now is even different than even a year ago, because a year ago I was still, you know, and there are some times where I still get like angry about it, or like I want to do something differently. And sometimes I feel like I have limitations, but I find that I just have to reframe how I'm going to do things, or how I'm going to participate in something. And, you know, also my faith has been just, you know, my faith in God, knowing that I'm going to be able to push forward, and that I will have good days and I will have bad days, and some days might be horrible, but, you know, I have my faith. I have a great family. I have a great group of friends, co-workers, amazing people that are, you know, in my corner. And, you know, without my faith, this journey would look a lot different. And, you know, it doesn't really have the same power that it did to make me fearful, like I can just try something. Or, I can even, it's just something as simple as telling my friends, okay, I couldn't go with you to the movies last time, but I'm going to try this time. And, and they'll say, okay, you know what, if you feel like you don't want to drive that day, or we're going to finish the movie late, we'll drive you. And just the ability to share that kind of creates more possibilities for you to do things in different ways.
Right.
So, and it's really hard to share because you don't want to feel like you don't have power. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, those lesions, what did they do to my brain? Because I know that with MS, you can have active lesions and inactive lesions. But either way, it can still do damage. And you can still sometimes have these moments of brain fog, where you're looking for a word and you can't remember the word.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone like myself that's always kind of been a person that's been able to speak in front of others or in front of groups, and then when you can't find that word, you're like, is that my nerves or is that MS?
No.
Or, you just have to start doing things differently, and you have to ask for help and just kind of know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And the bottom line is I just had to start journaling everything about myself. Like, on such and such a day, this was a really hot day, so then I was in bed for the rest of the day. This day was cool, I felt great, I did a 2-mile walk, so yeah, then that kind of put me in the mind frame. Luckily, my husband's a coach, so I said, okay, I want to do the MS walk in March. Sign me up, I'm going to do that. And then the pandemic hit, and all of those things got canceled. So I'm looking for next March for the MS walk, and hopefully things are improved so I can do that, and hopefully help raise money for MS, for the cause of finding a cure for people that are dealing with MS.
Do you know how many people deal with this? How many people have MS? Like in the United States, do you have any idea? I'm putting you on the spot, but
I don't know the number. And see, now that you're posing that question, that makes me with one more question that I need to research more also. And find out more. Yeah, I
think there's a powerful, this is inspiring to me, and how your faith has gone to a different level. But I think there's something powerful about the idea of being vulnerable, being weak, being real. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about Lady Gaga, but since we're on the topic, so here's somebody who, people would have an image of, and she decides to be real in one video, right? She decides, I'm going to tell people the truth.
It was a game changer for me.
Right.
Changed everything for me.
I don't know how many people saw it, probably a lot, that this person decided she's got power, right? She's a powerful influencer.
Right.
And she decided to lay down her power for 5 minutes and show everybody fibromyalgia.
Right.
Pain. And then it affects your life. And then now when I read here, I must uncover this veil to help myself and help others. Now you're thinking about it differently. So now you're willing to tell the truth about yourself. And then that might open the door for somebody else. And all of a sudden, we all get to be who we are. We all get to be warts and all. Here's the deal, Which, how powerful is that? That's wonderful.
Well, yeah, thank you. I just when I saw that video and I saw, okay, oh my goodness, this changed my whole outlook on how I was going to approach my journey. Then I could kind of go to the next chapter. Okay, now it's time for research. How do I take care of myself? What do I do? Then I could better take care of myself. And, I made even a video on Instagram, and when I made that video, I was, bad lighting. I was in my room, but I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this because there could be somebody that's just having this secret. They could have lupus, they could have fibromyalgia, they could have MS, they could have X, Y, or Z disability. And, which, by the way, I don't want to say that disability does not mean you completely can't. I reframe it in my mind that you can do things differently. and change our perspective. And I'm leaning into that a lot now. So, my hope is just to really to encourage others, especially if you're newly diagnosed, to take your time and do what you need to do. But when you unveil that secret, it is going to help you feel so much more free, because when you have extra stress, anybody with invisible illness, whatever it is, that that the stress of like a secret, or almost like, and you're feeling guilty, like you're lying to people, but it's really not a lie. You're just kind of holding everything.
Right.
And so when you can begin to speak on it and say it, and kind of just like, it doesn't mean you're going to go tell everybody, but in my case, I kind of did lean into that, so it helped me more. But when you can kind of like live your truth and live your life, then you can just have a better life and you can feel healthier, because MS is hard enough as it is. I mean, there are times where I'm sitting in a movie and I can't just sit like this. I have to lean forward and press down on my foot because I'm having nerve pain. But the fact that I can say that freely, I'm having nerve pain, this is why I'm sitting weird in the movie. I'm not going to go with you guys because I can't tolerate the heat. I can't walk that at 90 degrees. I'm not going to go to Cancun this summer, but it might mean I'm going to go to Cancun in a different time and when it's cooler. So all of those things that you can speak on and be honest about completely is freeing. And I just want to, encourage anyone else that, you can live your best life and you can be free of, you don't have to have that secret. And I want to be able to do that for other people, that just by me seeing that video, if somebody could see this and be like, okay, I can do that too. I can tell my friends. I can maybe tell a coworker if I choose to.
Right.
Now, then again, some people choose to be more private and not tell their coworkers, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's just something I needed to do. That was part of what I think was going to be more helpful to me, to help me get better and to help me just work on how to live my best life with MS, because it's not going away anytime soon.
Right. It's part of you. It's not who you are. It's something you deal with. It's part of you. And being known to people in your close circle is a powerful thing. There's a saying in the recovery community, secrets equal sickness. And I think, whether it's an invisible disease, whether it's drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever problems, we all have stuff.
Right.
Whatever it is, telling the truth about it, naming it, and being like, okay, this is the deal, is such a powerful first step. I think that's the message I'm picking up here. That just like you saw that video, that now somebody could see that, okay, you're dealing with this, you're upfront about it, here's the deal. That's given you some power, that's given you some encouragement. Then maybe somebody else who's dealing with a closet opioid addiction can come forward and say, you know what, I'm addicted to this pill. To somebody in their circle, this is the truth. And guess what? That could be the beginning of freedom.
Right. Just taking off that veil, gave me the ability to have so much more freedom to get help. So like when you said, whether it was somebody with a different chronic illness, like you said, opioid addiction or alcoholism, or, any type of invisible illness, and mine happens to be, multiple sclerosis, MS. When you can take that off, and you really can't get help until people know about what you're dealing with. I mean, there have been times where I've said, you know what, I'm going to do this, but I actually forgot how. And I don't even know if it's kind of like the brain fog, but I might have to ask a friend, or just like living day to day. Like, I'm not going to meet you guys here, but I'm not going to drive over there, but I'm going to do this way. Just the ability to be able to tell friends and family, and so they know that if all of a sudden if you're at a family get together and all of a sudden you're not in the room anymore, it's because of this. And they know that, okay, I look normal, I'm fine, but I'm not fine in the inside. I'm experiencing pain. And people can help you. People cannot help you your friends and family and, you know, your loved ones,
If they don't know.
if they don't know, they don't know what to do.
And
they don't
that's
know how
the
to
thing.
help you.
That's the thing about
So
the
you're
invisible.
just isolated.
Right, and
You're
that's the thing about the invisible part. In fact, in the brain injury community, we have a brain injured daughter. Well, it's really obvious she's brain injured because of the level of her injury, right? She's
Right.
severe brain injury, so it's obvious. In the brain injury community, they say they don't worry about that kid as much as they worry about the kid who looks normal, but is dyslexic, ADD, has some issue that they're dealing with that you can't see them. You know, if I have a broken leg, I've got a cast on, you can see broken leg. Somebody looks at you, you look totally normal. And so the invisible suffering, or the addict,
Right.
who maybe it's pills, you can't smell it, you can't, but that person's suffering in silence.
Right.
Because they look normal.
Right.
They're
And
socially,
it's so isolating.
and it's isolating.
It's very isolating.
Right.
And especially if you're dealing with it privately, you can't, you know, there's things that people need to do also. Like if they're dealing with it privately, they're sometimes also not going to some type of therapy where they can talk about it. So you've got isolation. You've got, I'm not going to tell anybody. I don't want to talk to a therapist. This is too hard. All these unknowns, and I'm scared, and I'm just going to, and then how much worse are you going to feel? I mean, it can, that type of stress can bring on, like you were talking about the opioid crisis, that type of fear can bring on someone, you know, becoming worse.
Right.
Their
or
illness
committing
could,
suicide.
Yeah, and their illness could be worse. And, you know, by the way, for people that have invisible illness, it is not rare. It's quite, you know, I don't remember the suicide rate, but it is not rare. It's a higher rate for people dealing with, you know, and you don't want to tell people. I mean, there's times where you don't want to say it, and you want all of it. And especially if, as a young, I was thinking, how would this be? You know, my brother was diagnosed when he was young in high school, and how hard is that for a young man to say, hey guys, I'm not going to meet you for basketball. No, I'm not going to meet you guys for a beer. No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that, because you don't want everyone to know.
Right.
And then even if you do know, even if they do know, you don't want to tell your friends every time, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not feeling good today, because you don't want to be that person saying, I don't feel good today. Yeah. But it is a truth, and it is a frequent occurrence that many times you're not feeling good, and you can look great and be having a shooting, stabbing pain in your head, or a horrible migraine, or just any type of pain. So if you are like living in a secret, your disease can be that much worse. Right. And people can't help you, and you can't help yourself. Right.
Powerful message. Thank you for sharing it. This is amazing. I want to say, if you're out there and you're dealing with an invisible illness, something like what Xochitl deals with, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, drug addiction, opioid addiction, you're feeling suicidal. If you're watching this right now, I think this might be a message for you. Tell somebody. Talk to somebody. It sounds scary, but it might be the best thing you ever do. This is an example, and we want you to get help. So that's a powerful message. I wasn't planning on giving that speech, but somebody's out there. I'm convinced. Thank you, Xochitl.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. I was very happy to be here in any way that I can help others and encourage people.
We're going to send this viral, this one right here. We'll see you next time.